Well, at this point, I invite forward the Reverend Dr. Terry Tieman, who is the Executive Director of Transforming Churches Network out of Memphis, Tennessee. We are sorry. We are sorry for the University of Memphis, who went down in defeat by Navy. And well, it should, because this is the week of Veterans Day. So, and Dr. Tieman, forcing it through his tears, will be telling us about our meeting yesterday of our visioning workshop.
Thank you, Pastor. Or as we say in Memphis, thank you. Thank you very much. You're the only one that gets that. You may remember several months ago that our team was here for a consultation, and part of that process was to write some prescriptions for your congregation that would help you be more effective in reaching out to your community with the gospel of Jesus Christ and to be more outward focused. So one of those prescriptions was for you to have a visioning day, which we did yesterday. We had over 40 people, leaders from this congregation, who got together to talk about what God has in store for you in the next 3 to 5 years. And it's really God's vision for your church. It's a matter of discerning what God's plan is for you rather than just saying, well, this is what we want to do. So as we went through this process, and we took 6 hours yesterday, I'm going to try and do this in 5 minutes, although it might take 10. It seems like I talk more at every service than I did the previous one. But the way that we approached this yesterday was to compare the vision, which is a clear picture of a preferred future, of the church to a journey that any one of us might take. So let's just think about some place we might like to go. And so I chose Disney World in Orlando. So if you're thinking about Disney World, by the way, have any of you have ever been to Disney World? Quite a few of you have. Okay, so you know what that's like. So you have a picture in your mind right now when I say Disney World, and so it might include things like palm trees and blue water in a lake or a swimming pool, and going on rides or to Epcot Center, seeing Mickey Mouse and all of those kinds of things. So that's really what a vision is. It's something we know we're going to do, someplace we're going, and we have a clear picture of what that looks like. So we want to help you get a clear picture of where God is leading you in the next 3 to 5 years. So once you have that picture in your mind, the next thing you have to do is put together a strategy. So if you're going to Orlando, there are several ways to get there. What would be some of the ways that you might choose to get to Orlando? Just call them out. Plane, walk. Okay, it'd be a long walk. But you could do that. You could bicycle, I suppose. But maybe the logical choices would be to drive or to fly or possibly even to take a train. So let's just say that we choose to drive to Orlando. And that's what you have to do. So as you think about where you're going in the future as a church, there's lots of different ways to get there, but you ultimately have to choose your strategy. So that's the first thing. Then after you choose your strategy, you have to have a plan of how you're going to get there. So let's say we're going to drive. Now we have to choose the route. So what roads will we take? How often will we stop? And finally, you have to determine how much it's going to cost. So you have to have a budget. Are we going to stay at 4-star hotels? Are we going to camp? Are we going to eat at restaurants? Are we going to pack our lunch? All of those plans have to be made. And so it's also true with you as a congregation. So as you're going to reach out to your community, which people will you start with? What will be your strategy? What ministries will you use to reach these people? And then finally, what are the plans? What are the details? And how much will it cost? That's your budget. So all of those things go into it. Well, we weren't able to do all of those things yesterday, but we got a good start. And so the group wrote a series of vision statements, and they now have a team of 6 people that are putting that all together. And you'll see the end result very soon. But essentially what they did was they wrote a statement. It's about a paragraph long that includes an opening statement they described the mission target. And they actually chose 3 targets, which I will share with you in just a minute, of the main groups of people that you're going to try and reach. There's over 200,000 people in the Saginaw area. So where do you start? Jesus said, make disciples of all people, in all people groups, starting in your local area, then going out and finally to the ends of the earth. So who will you start with? Those would be your targets. And then why are you going to do it? What's the biblical purpose for reaching out to these particular people? And then, as I showed in the diagram of the trip to Orlando, what's the strategy? What will be the plans and the details on how you're going to do it? So all of that will be planned out, and this group is working on that. And you'll see more of this in the next few weeks. So here's what they came up with as far as the 3 targets. The first one is a group that we're calling Families in Motion. Well, what does that mean? We see Bethlehem reaching out to young families with school-aged children. Kind of makes sense, right? Since you have a Lutheran school here, that you'd want to reach out to families with children of that age. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, young families are often more receptive to the gospel and a new church home and need what Bethlehem has to offer. This group is expected to grow in the next several years, according to demographic studies. And the school is a built-in mission outpost from which to reach these families. So that's the reason why. Then the third column, which I'm not going to read to you, you can look at, and you'll see more of this also in the future, more of the strategies and the plans to actually carry this out. So that's the first target. The second one is a group of people that we're calling autumn years. The vision is that we see Bethlehem serving and reaching out to, as well as with, seniors in Saginaw, or the Saginaw area. So that would be folks 65 and older. Now, why would we do that? Well, one reason is because there's all kinds of, there's a large group of people that are already in that category that come to Bethlehem and are members. And so they are the best people to reach out to the same group of unchurched people in the community. And that group is growing and is projected to grow over the next 5 years. So we want to reach out to that group. And you can also see the strategy and plans for that. And it's really using a lot of the things you do already. Pastor mentioned Boar's Head. What a great ministry. How can you use that to build relationships with unchurched and unreached people so that they can hear the gospel? That's really the idea. Here's the last group. The area around this church location, the corner of Weiss and Hermansau. And, this church was started here 100 years ago. God had a vision and placed that in the hearts of some individuals, and you've been here ever since. Of course, the building moved a little bit, but for the most part, the same neighborhood. So that should continue. There's every reason that can continue. Jesus or St. Paul said Jesus said that, you are to be my witnesses beginning in Jerusalem. So beginning where you're at and then moving out from there. So that's why we want to reach out to the people around this location. So that's what we did yesterday. As I mentioned, you'll be hearing more about this. You'll have an opportunity to be involved in it. And it's my prayer that God will bless you as you reach out to these 3 groups of people. Many will come to faith in Jesus and spend eternity in heaven. God bless you in this journey and on your worship today.